infringement. No, that's Jebby Corkill.
Yeah, it is.
He bought me the wig for it. So.
This one. This is because look, I got a Joker pig T-shirt on. Because the idea of a pig who is the Joker and finds crime scary is quite chilling. So I've got this, and then I put the pig ears on, and then the pig mask, and it's Joker pig. What's the podcast about again?
Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am your host, Rich Owens. Joining me this week, we have the delightful D-Boy Plays, and we have, to use his official title, World Cup winning manager, Jeb. Jeb, how are we? You big World Cup winning you?
I'm good. I won the World Cup. Did you know? I didn't get an achievement for it though because it was in FMT, which is really annoying. But never mind. I know exactly. But yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm going on holiday this week, so that's nice. I think we'll see. Yeah.
Are you going to bring us all back some duty free?
No.
Oh, okay. I want a straw donkey and I want 900 Benson edges.
Well, I'm not doing that, so no.
All right, fair enough then. D, you didn't win the World Cup, and neither did I.
No.
Are you also going on holiday?
I'm not. I was going to ask for 900 donkeys and one Benson and Hedges. But yeah, if you're not going to get the...
I'm on a Ryanair flight. Like you try and add anything to that luggage, you get in charge, so I'm not having it.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
Just don't bring your clothes back. Why do I have to think of all the solutions here?
Fair. Or wear all the clothes, yeah.
Wear them all at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
Saves on baggage.
Move.
No, it's half term for us now, isn't it?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
in the education sector. Which is great. Basically a week of nothing, which is going to be wonderful. I'm looking forward to it immensely. How's your week been, Rich?
Yeah, very much the same. It's half term. I couldn't be more excited because I am tired. My goodness gracious me. I'm more tired than I've ever been in my life. I took my wife to a trampoline park with our children yesterday to celebrate her birthday, and bouncing about for a couple of hours has worn me out.
I was going to say, what a lucky lady she is.
Isn't she? And I like to remind her every single day, you try organising an enjoyable family activity for a very neurodiverse household, because it's a coin toss. Everything we've tried so far on birthdays has not gone down well. So I was like, let's do something the kids like. Oh, we had a bounce. It was a cracking time. You'll notice people watching the podcast and listening as well, we haven't introduced Stakety Bakety. Stakey's not here this week, but we thought... 3 people is lots of fun, but why not add a 4th person to the mix? And my goodness gracious me, we've got a 4th person for you. If you have watched episode 200, the Football Manager Therapy pub quiz, the star of the episode, undeniably, the man who sent in many wonderful questions, including one about a man called Alan. We've got Big Taff Man on the pod. It's Big Taff Man. Hello, Taff. How are you? Welcome to podcast.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Sorry, I was still thinking about Rich talking about going to the trampoline park. It gave the image of Rich bouncing up and down on a trampoline while his wife's going, Rich, we have to go home now. The kids are already in the car. We really need to go. And Rich is just happily going,
come on, we've got to get out of it.
No, listen, I don't need to go home. FM25 has been cancelled. We can stay here all day.
Got nothing to go home for.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, yeah, they're in the corner, just, with the felt tips out, colouring in my wristbands. So it's a different colour, because that's how they get you now. They check the colours of your wristbands. That's when they kick you out.
You just don't never take the wristbands off, and then you end up with an armful of all the different colours.
That's the move. That
seems like a good way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then you end up looking like the Ultimate Warrior.
Hacks.
Yeah. That was a possible segue, just in case you'd put a comment.
I don't know what you mean.
So,
to be honest,
an exciting look behind the podcasting curtain. Our preamble, where we just hang out and have a little chat for a little bit. Taff threatened us with costumes. It wasn't not a suggestion of I have some costumes. It's I may well put these costumes on when I'm off camera. So
I thought that was the podcast, to be honest. I mean, I've only got about 12 minutes left until I have to go and do something else. So,
yeah, Taff's red wristband works at the trampoline park just down the road from him, starting at 9 o'clock. So we've only got 15 minutes with him.
See you there, Rich. See you there.
See you there, mate. I'm going to do so many flips. You try and stop me. Please don't. It won't take much to stop me. I'm still tired from yesterday. Oh, goodness me. Sitting down driving a car home afterwards. Absolute nightmare on the knees. Yeah, I'm nearly 40. What about it? Taff, for the people that are watching or listening to this podcast that have never seen you before, explain the concept of Big Taff Man as succinctly as you possibly can.
I'm a streamer who doesn't play Football Manager, which obviously means I'm ideal for this podcast. I did originally, when I started, play a little bit of Champman 0102 on there, which was a lot of fun, but I just find Football Manager not to be very interesting to watch on Twitch, to be honest. So I stopped playing it, and I play games that are actually quite exciting to watch. I'm a variety streamer, and I stream a bunch of different stuff, and every single penny I make on stream goes to charity, and always has and always will. And on the channel twitch.tv/Big Taff Man, I've raised over £36,000 for charities since I started doing this. Wow. So yeah. And I've got a big charity stream coming up next Sunday.
So don't get all your plugs in now. Come on.
Well, I'm just, I got to make sure, just in case I get cut off like halfway through the podcast. I don't want to get cancelled mid-podcast. But yeah, I've been a long-term Football Manager player. I remember playing it from pretty much like the time it came out, and it's always been something that I've dabbled with a little bit, but I've found in recent years, not as much, to be honest.
Why?
For me, I like when I get a little circle and I just drag my right mouse button and it makes a little arrow, and I know that's the run they're making. And then they started adding all this stuff, and it just... it gets too complicated. I just want to go in there. I just want to manage, and then you start having to do your coaching and your fitness stuff, and I just gets too many numbers on the screen.
Okay, I you know what? I do miss the yellow arrows. I do. Like the yellow arrow. I could see where you're coming from there. I didn't like it as much. See, I feel like I'm just joining with Taff now. Yeah, Football Manager's terrible, stupid game.
Back in my day, we just had dots on screen, and we had to read the little text that was in the centre of the screen and imagine what was happening. We didn't get to see little players running around the pitch. If you wanted to see that, go watch real football.
Some people still live like that, so some people live in 2D still. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't just come on a Football Manager podcast and start going, Football Manager's not very good these days, is it? I just to be clear, I do enjoy still playing Football Manager a lot. I just find as it's gone more and more in depth, there's been more that I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is fair. Like I was going to say, when they started bringing in having to develop relationships with players and their agents, that's when I started to find it a little bit weird. But then they fixed it for me. They bring it in, you have the dialogue options, and then they brought in the gestures that you could do alongside it. And it was like, right, talk to this player. You're going to give us some bad news about his contract, and you can do so with open arms. And I'm like, well, I'm a neurodiverse adult who struggles with reading people's body language and emotions at the best of times. I was like, sorry, mate, you're going. Is this helping? My arms are big.
How many times have you wished you could kick a bottle at someone after telling them, yeah, you've played really well, but then just boot a bottle? Because I think they should mix it up.
Yeah, I'm just being friendly.
I'm actually booting the bottle, kicking the bottle at you, so you can control it and kick it back to me. It's a fun game we're playing.
It's a fun game we're playing. That's it. It was the year after they brought it in, they started bringing descriptions as to why you were doing it. Is like, open arms. It's because you want to be encouraging, not that you're trying to, turn away a bear. or get them hugs. So when they brought those in, it became a lot easier for me. But I get it. The old days were better.
I think my favourite moment of those old games as well, and this is always one where there was a point where I was like, did I make this up? But I don't know if you recall that in one of the early games there was a thing called the arse command. Is this something that you all know of, or am I?
I'm sure I heard what you said. You said the arse command.
Yeah, so it was the arse command. It was in one of the very early editions. I'm frantically just about to start googling as well, because this is something that that I was like. It was one of my favourite little features. So obviously the thing is with playing a game like Football Manager and those kind of things, there's quite a few details here. In Champman 0102, there was the arse command. So what you could do is you could open the game scripting files, and if you wrote the word arse in there, it would actually change the game so that the characters in the game would then do more outlandish things. So for instance, around that time you had incidents that were happening in real life football, such as like the Paolo Di Canio or Cantona kicking a fan and stuff, but they couldn't put things like that into the Championship Manager games because if you put in that someone's temperament is so bad that they'll kick a fan or hit a referee, that wasn't something that they could put into the game because they were worried that a player might end up suing them. But there was a thing called the arse command, where if you actually wrote it into the scripting files, it would make the players do things like that. It would also mean that you could see the chairman's stats, because they didn't want originally, I believe, and this is all my opinions, not the opinions of Football Manager Therapy podcast, but they didn't want to be able for you to see the chairman's and director's statistics, because again, it was a thing that they were worried that like if a chairman could see that his like decision making was 4, then they might get Sue happy on him and get involved. But yeah, the arse command was a thing, and it's always one of those that I always bring up when I talk about Championship Manager and Football Manager, and it's one that does seem to not be as popular as I remember it. But yeah.
So I wish that we still had the arse command. Is that what will bring FM back to you?
Possibly, but it was. I believe that, like with a game like Champman 3 and those kind of 0102, the longer you played, once you started getting players that were regens, the regens would often have the instance happen. But it was this arse command unlocked it happening for real life players at the start of the game, because most players wouldn't get to the point where all the players. But you would get stuff like. Like an incident of a player hitting the referee. And I love stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever played... I'm trying to desperately remember which of the old manager games it was, but I think it possibly was one of the FIFA managers, or one of the Total Club managers maybe, where you actually had to manage the club, but then you also had to manage your relationships with your wife and buy a car and buy a house and things like that. And they were the stuff that I was like, they were so different to like the Champ Man that I was like, this is the kind of stuff where it was quite interesting to be like, and I think you see little bits of that if you've ever played like New Star Soccer on the iPhone. Where you kind of like can choose between training or going and spending time with your girlfriend. I think that was the kind of atmosphere that you had with those. But as I say this, you're looking at me with blank faces, and I'm like, am I making all this up?
It's something we discussed quite a lot is opening the FM universe to like The Sims and stuff like that. Get all your team in The Sims and things. I think everyone's always wanted to get the wages in the game. So, what do I do with these wages? You can't spend them on anything. But yeah, I guess it's that realism and how big Football Manager's become. It's kind of taken away those fun bits.
I've got my collection here of old manager games, and so I'm trying to look. I started buying up some of the old manager games back in the day, and I think it might be either one of the FA Premier League manager games or the Total Club manager games, but
I don't know if the Premier League would endorse it.
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling. I mean,
unless it was like sponsored by the Sun or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, the Total Club Manager games. The reason I don't think that it was them is they had the engine early on where I think that was maybe the first game where you could actually watch the matches because they used the FIFA match engine to let you actually watch them, and it was just rubbish. So.
They were terrible games. Like the match engine wise, I got all excited. A friend of mine, John, used to play them a lot, and he'd get really giddy because you could watch the matches, and it was the up to date match engine for the most recent edition of FIFA that they just ported over. And you think at face value, oh, that must be fantastic. And then you actually sat down and watched them, and it was rare you saw a goal because the AI, the gameplay just cancelled each other out. They were just like, right, okay, attack down the wings. Winger gets tackled. They attack down the opposite flank. That winger gets tackled. Barely any shots on goal. Absolutely stunk. Absolutely stunk. I'm really glad you mentioned New Star Soccer though, Taff. I love New Star Soccer. I still play it.
Yeah. I still play it now. I go between on my phone. It's between New Star and what's the other one where it very much feels like. Did you ever play Roberto Baggio's free kicks back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yes.
yeah. But Roberto Baggio's free kick. So originally I had back. Can I get sued for things I mention on this podcast?
No.
Depends what you mention.
At one point, I found like Roberto Baggio's free kick, and then the website it was on, like, took it off there. And I managed to get the file for it, and I hosted it on my website. And for a long while, like, I actually was the top Google result for ages for Roberto Baggio's free kick. And like, it didn't bring in a lot of money. I stuck Google ads on there, but it brought in enough that I used to pay for the website with it and have a fair bit of change left over for a drink or two. Until then, obviously, someone else uploaded it somewhere who was much better at SEO and stuff. But that Roberto Baggio free kick and those kind of games that you play now on the mobile, they're great toilet games.
Yes.
Good time killers.
Yes.
I'll be brutally honest with you. I found it on my phone, and the folder I have it saved in my phone in is called Toilet Activity. So,
Could you just talk us through that folder, please?
Yeah. It's got New Star Soccer. It's got Retro Bowl, the little pixel art American football game, which is ever so good. It's also got Football Manager 24 mobile on there. So there you go. We brought it back around somehow. So,
Twitter. That's dead legs. Yeah, dead legs straight away if you open that up on the toilet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you got piles, Rich? How long do you spend on the toilet?
So long. Look, I see my GP, and he has a look, and he goes, transfer window, and I go, transfer window. He just knows.
Yeah. Can I just suggest for the episode title, have you got piles, Rich?
It wouldn't be the worst titled episode we'd ever have by some considerable distance.
Well, no, because obviously, my good personal friend Matt Richards used to come up with titles, and there were some absolute stinkers back in the day.
Yeah. Let's use that as a segue. Let's use that as a beautiful segue, because you were Matt. You are friends with Matthew Taylor Richards.
Yeah.
Right, and you said before we started recording, Matt used to send you the raps from the start of those episodes. Like, how do you know Matt? Where does that relationship come from? You and MTR.
Yeah, I met Matt at a wrestling show where I believe Matt was the announcer at the time, and we just ended up talking about stuff, and then I think I think possibly our first kind of connection was through Football Manager, because we used to message each other quite a bit about games that we were playing at the time and where we were in the league and stuff, and yeah, that was kind of like the basis of our friendship, which I think is one of those things that, as grown adults, it can be difficult to form a bond with someone, but if you can sit there and go, God, do you remember Teddy Lucic back in the day? He was a great signing, wasn't he? If you could get into the Swedish leagues and get Stefan Selakovic attacking midfielder, right, left, centre, you were sorted. And you know, when you can make that kind of connection with someone, that's when you know you've really got a friendship that can grow.
Absolutely, it's lovely, isn't it? And I think it's one of the things that we've noticed over years of, you know, streaming or playing the game, especially since starting the podcast. The more people that you meet, it's just nice, because you are completely right. Forming relationships with adults is difficult at the best of times. Having that common ground straight away makes life so much easier. I mean, exactly the same circumstance of me, I suppose. Taff saw him at a wrestling show, got to chatting. Football Manager came up very early doors, and now, as a result of that conversation, I'm sat here hosting a podcast. You know, it's not even like a, you know, butterfly flaps its wings in Tokyo and there's a tidal wave on the other side of the planet. It's all, you know, it's not even 6 degrees of separation. It's about 2, realistically speaking. So, in fact, Matt's got a lot to answer for, is what I'm hearing from this.
He does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's ever such a good man. I think there's one thing that the podcast is missing, is rapping. And in fairness to you, Taff, like, Matt has dropped some dutty bangers in his intros. I've seen you spit fire on your streams. I've seen you're not a man who's afraid to freestyle.
You're not going to make me do it now, Rich. I can tell you now.
That wasn't.
If that was a build-up to go, and now Jeb is just about to drop a beat.
Yeah. Dee, if
I'm in my head already thinking, what can I rhyme with Toe Madeira, Lira? Oh God.
It's a defunct currency. It's that easy. It's that easy.
Yeah, but now you've got to rhyme currency. And the problem
Everyone's
with my
desperately
raps.
thinking now, yeah.
Yeah, the problem with my raps is inevitably I end up going to saying rude words, because rude words are just easier to rhyme. So, you know, you can think of a lot of words that rhyme with. You're supposed to beat me now, Rich, when I say these.
I'm not going to, Taff.
Okay. When I say and did I line that up then? Because I don't know if I did.
Maybe. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's the difficult part with the rapping. I think, like, I find Twitch like a means for creativity. I mean, even when I did the Champ Man back in the day, it was literally like I came up with an entire like backstory where I filmed like these stupid videos where I ended up going back in time and got offered the job at West Ham based upon the fact that I was good at knowing which footballers would become good in the future. So, you know, doing things like raps and things on stream is what I really find like it's the way of keeping your brain going sometimes, because, you know, as we get older, we forget about things that we've already said. I mean, when I used to do my Champ Man streams, I did a whole set of videos about getting the job at West Ham because I knew which players were going to be good in the future. And I think that's, you know, the kind of creativity that you have on Twitch, because sometimes you can just, you know, lose it a little bit.
You forget what you've said, don't you, sometimes?
You forget what you said.
Do you know what the worst thing is? I actually forgot what I'd said for when I came back to doing the forget what I said joke.
Yeah. So, Taff, have you ever, you know, just to like spice up your streams, or, you know, just get creative, you know, when you were streaming like West Ham, Championship Manager, any kind of like videos or skits that you made around that kind of time, just to kind of spice up the streams?
You know, I mean, I'm worried now, the way you said that. I did, when I was looking to make my West Ham video, I did a whole video where I went back in time and got picked as the manager of West Ham because I was able to predict which footballers would be. Are you going to cut this bit?
No, it's good. My favourite part is there will be people sat on the bus listening to this going, has this just repeated itself? I've no idea.
Yeah.
So, I just want everyone to know as well, Rich made a really good joke in the intro, before the intro. And it's really a pity that it wasn't being recorded at the time. But it was. I mean, yeah.
Oh, it was being recorded, Taff. Don't you worry. It was.
But I think, like you said, the creativity on the streams, that's what's always stood out. Like I've known you. I think I met you at a wrestling show. much like everyone else. We seem to have met at wrestling shows. But then I think I was watching your Champman streams back in the day and the creativity then, but it just seems to get bigger and bigger as you bring newer things in and different streams, and it really, really, like, it's quite inspirational to watch as well.
I think it's just a case of, like, that's what I think is good about a platform like Twitch, is that there's so many creators out there who can use to inspire you. And, like, you know, sometimes you can just copy someone who's really good at something. And so other times you can take something that someone else does and tweak it and make it interesting yourself, you know. Some people like to make content out there where they just put silly hats on and have weird voiceovers. But personally, I like to go a little bit more highbrow than that. What about you, Jeff?
Hang on. I made a hat video. That was all it was. Although, yeah, like you said, it's I thank 1030 for it. I'd had those voices on for months and months. I didn't know I could have full conversations with them until this week when he brought out the Stone Cold Steve Austin therapist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, we brought Roy Keane in yesterday, who I can ring up now and ask for assistant manager's advice, and he just gives abuse to Rich and Kev apparently now, so there you go.
I did notice he's got an obsession with Kevin sausage rolls for some reason.
Yeah, we don't know why. There's nothing in any of the text, but there we are. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's...
Yeah. I think with Twitch, it's like an outlet for stuff, and I've always been an ideas person, and sometimes the difficult part is putting those ideas into fruition. But then you see the stuff that other people do. I mean, so many people have done like amazing streams, and I've always said there's like 3 people that really inspire me on Twitch, and the first one is Limmy, because I think Limmy is a Scottish comedian who streams, and he just streams wherever he wants to stream. And he's an old man and does what he wants, and he doesn't care about anything else. And I find that an inspiration, because I'm an old man and would like to do whatever I want. And then the other one is Barjo, who's an Australian streamer, Bajo, for anyone who wants to check him out. But he's got the most like crazy redeems on there. Like there's a redeem on there where for £30 people can stop him going to have McDonald's for a week, and that is like. That sounds like silly when you say it like that, but when you redeem it, it plays a whole video and like loads of things trigger on the stream. And the guy is not allowed to go to McDonald's for 2 years at the moment. So that's over 104 times that people have given that guy 30 quid for a video just to be played on stream. So I'm like, when I see people doing stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, like get creative with things. And I mean, the third person is mine and James' friend, Ash Tarek, who is just like built such an amazing community, which me and James are both lucky to be part of. And I think that's another aspect of Twitch that has been like a real game changer for me, is like the people that I've met through it. I've spent this weekend going and visiting some friends I met through Twitch, and like, yeah, it really does make a difference. And you know, I think sometimes people look at internet friends as like, oh, it's a bit strange, you know, but internet friends can be just as real as the friends that you meet on the street, you know. In fact, in many times they can be even better, because you talk to them a lot more often than you do the people you see who live down the street.
100%. It's lovely. You know, we all got together last week, and you know, Jeb, Dee, and I went to go watch the football. It was lovely. I think it's important to understand the importance of you know, mature and safe online friendships. See, that's my work voice coming through there. I say that quite a lot.
That's the safeguarding coming through.
Yeah, that's the safeguarding coming through. Yeah, you know, forming healthy and safe relationships with people online, it can be an invaluable thing, you know, and it's not to be overstated by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I've told this story on the pod before. You know, Jeb, I was on a you know, Discord call with Jeb and a few other lads, and when I got a phone call and told, you know, when I found out my dad had died, Jeb was one of the first people who knew. You know, it's bonkers, and you can't undervalue the relationship that you form with people online by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really, really nice to hear somebody who is as creative as you, Taff. Like, you know, looking at, you know, being able to list off people that inspire you as well. You know, like I love Limmy. I know Dee. I know we've got from the conversation, we have quite a similar sense of humour. So I would imagine you're quite a Limmy enthusiast.
Limmy's the best. Absolutely love Limmy.
Yeah,
I think the thing with Limmy as well is that like, not every Limmy stream is for me. sometimes I go there, Limmy's watching Cilla Black for hours and hours on end. And I go, I don't really want to watch this. Or sometimes he's playing a game where he's being a massive troll and causing disruption for everyone in game. And I go, I don't really like this. But then there's other times where he does other stuff. And that's the great thing about an entertainment site like Twitch is if there's one person that you're not enjoying so much, there's probably someone else doing something else that you'll enjoy. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's it. You can find so much out there. And there's, it's a site that isn't just about people playing video games, which I think is something that often is like misconstrued with stuff. I mean, Jeb mentioned 1030 and some of the stuff that 1030 does on stream, like actually putting together an AI that he can speak to Stone Cold Steve Austin on the phone is fascinating to watch. I have a raft of artists that I watch, and I've done some amazing streams that I've done that have been just sitting and talking to people about mental health. When I first started to see a site like Twitch, I didn't realize that was the things that you could do on there.
No, it lends itself to all manner of things. And I think especially being able to use it as an outlet for your creativity, I think is a wonderful thing to be able to do. One of the things that I always remember at your streams, for example, Taff, and it's something that I know, and again, it's look at me with segues today. I know Jeb has spent quite a lot of time doing it as well. You mentioned Limmy. It would be remiss of us to mention Limmy and your streams, and Jeb as well, without talking about games like Rust. You built Limmy's streaming setup, which I thought was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and that was a case of, like, I only came up with that idea because I watched stuff that other people built. And I was so jealous of stuff that other people had built, but I was sat there going, what can I build that's as good as the stuff that other people have built? And I think that was really like, even now I talk to people and I go, oh yeah, I built the Limmy experience in Rust. And people go, oh, that was you. I didn't even realize because we didn't talk at the time. And it's like, yeah, that was such a great little thing. And getting to see like Limmy do it was how I felt like it must be whenever a game developer watches Limmy play their games, because I was sat there watching as Limmy pressed all the wrong buttons and did all the things wrong, even though there's signs saying press this button here and then sit in the seat. Limmy did everything else first, and I was like, I finally understand how painful it must be as a game dev to watch someone on Twitch playing a game that you've made really clear what buttons to press, and yeah, they don't press the right ones.
I still remember watching Limmy play Peppa Pig, and it was like 3 hours of him playing Peppa Pig. And he was getting more and more. Is the dad called George? Is that the dad? Yeah. He was getting angrier and angrier at George. George was getting some choice words said to him. But yeah, the amount of people just watching a 50-year-old man play Peppa Pig on stream it's a weird experience as well. Like, I always find it weird, like when Limmy streams at night as well, and there's no camera, there's no microphone, and people are just sat there watching him. Yeah.
He often streams at night, and like the title will literally be no cam, no mic, no shout outs. And you look and there's 500 people watching, and you're like, least, God, that's crazy. And like, yeah, when he's streaming and he's talking, it's 3,000 people sometimes. So yeah, it's like, I know he's having a hard time, so he'll appreciate the shout out, because I believe he's got his lowest payout that he's ever got since he started streaming on Twitch this week. So I saw he posted, I might have to start interacting with people on social media again. How are you all doing? Which again is the kind of stuff that I just really love on the Limmy does. And it's never the way that I'm going to be, but the fact that he's so comfortable in being himself is like something that's really like to admire.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of self-confidence to be yourself at the best of times, and especially public eye isn't necessarily the right word, but I think for somebody like Limmy especially, who's come from, he's got that television background, it wasn't like, Limmy didn't make a name for himself through streaming. Streaming was something that Limmy did after he had, made his TV shows and he'd made his art, and then it's just another avenue for him to explore, which is he's very, very, very good at as well. It just happens to be that it's a medium that really, really suits him. You know, it's the same as somebody like, you know, we talk about him a lot because he's our pal. Like Twitch really suits people like Tony Jameson because you know he's got that experience. Again, comes from that comparatively similar background, comes from the world of comedy, and it's just a platform for it to be able to talk and comfortably be who you are, just to be yourself, and that can be a really nerve-wracking thing, especially when you're starting out, especially when you're newer to a platform like Twitch. I mean, how long have you been streaming for now, Taff? And compared to where you are now in terms of your streams, what they look like, if you compare that to the Taff at the start of your streaming career, how big of a comparison is there between the two?
Well, I've been talking to people lately because I keep stats about all my streams because as a Football Manager fan, I love a spreadsheet. So, you know, I saw someone once say, a man is not truly enjoying a game until he's had to get a spreadsheet out. And I think there's nothing that's ever been truer said. And so I keep a spreadsheet of all my stats because I like to see, you know, how things have gone. And I streamed first in, I believe it was 2017, but it was very sporadic streaming. It was literally, I believe my first kind of streams were because I was playing FIFA with pals, and one of them would say, stream the game because I can't play tonight and I'll watch. So it was literally going on and just being an avenue that someone could just watch while we were playing. And it was only in 2020 when there was all the, you know, stuff that was happening in the world that we don't want to dwell on too much, but things have kind of changed for me. I was in a position where I was kind of retired and quite early in my age because I've just had things that have happened that have been quite good for me. And then I was sat, and it was actually Matt who kind of started me streaming properly because I was at a point where I was really struggling with my mental health, and I was finding that going from the structure of having like a job that you do for 8 hours a day to now suddenly be like no job at all and not knowing what to do with myself and going to bed whenever I wanted and getting up whenever I wanted. It was weird. And I went and spoke to Matt because at the time Matt was doing a lot of freelance work, and Matt said, what you really need to do is get some anchors in your life. And I said, well, I've already got one of them. His name's Jebaroo. And he said, no anchors. Little joke for you there. He said, you have to get some anchors in your life. He said, you know, if it's a case of like every Monday at 9 a.m. you go for a walk, every Tuesday at midday you go to the gym, every Wednesday at like 9 a.m. you walk to get breakfast, like get things that you do regularly every week. And it just so happened that I've been streaming a little bit more, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll make streaming my anchor. So it became a thing then that I stuck rigidly to the schedule. And I still, even now, people make fun of me sometimes that they go, you're a big schedule boy. And I'm like, yeah, because like to me, streaming is what keeps me sane. Like the fact that I can know that that's the structure of my week is based around that. And I think streaming as well is a thing that people think sometimes you just turn up and you press go live and that's the stream, but there's so much more outside of that happens. And for some people can just do that and just press live and then press finish and that's it. But I try and do all the things that I think will be good for my streams to make it different. And I'm not saying I do everything right, because I definitely don't. But that was kind of like the origin was making it a thing that would help me mentally. I found that what I really enjoyed was going into people's streams and using my emotes. And I got excited when I would see my emote pop up in someone's channel. So I decided I was going to stream every day in August for and try and get as many subs as I could so that I could get more emote slots. And I remember that August, I think I hit 50 subs, which is where you hit the maximum amount of emote slots. And I sat on stream and I cried, and I was like so emotional because I had gone from being a streamer who regularly had like viewers of like 1 and 2 people watching me to getting to the point where I had like 50 subs in my channel. And it was, for me, it was like that was the start of things. And it's just been kind of a journey since there. It's been nice to like do the grind, but it does get hard. I think streaming is something that's not always it does a lot for my mental health, but it also, is difficult for your mental health, because I think as a streamer, you're the focus. So, the same as you guys making the podcast, if you have to sit there and go, if the viewership goes down, is that something that I've done? Is it because of what we've talked about this week? Is it because of something else, and then you start self-reflecting. It can get quite difficult from that angle. So it tends to be that the positives outweigh the negatives for me, but it's always something that I find like strange.
Which is fair enough. It's good that you can be so objective about it. I think that's a really difficult thing to do. I think for me, one of the standouts for me when it comes to your streaming, Taff, is, as you mentioned at the beginning of the pod, what you do in terms of your work for charity and where the money that you earn from obviously you want, it's great to have the subs, so you can unlock those emote slots, and it's having loads of emotes is really, really fun. But it's what you actually do with the money that you're earning from streaming, which I think is quite special, if I'm honest with you. I'll never say this to your face, by the way, just for context.
It's a difficult one, because I often say, like, I'm in a financial position where I don't need the money from streaming, so I'm in a very lucky position where, for me, this is just fun. So yeah, I donate everything I make, so any subs bits or anything like that, the money, when it gets paid out to me, it goes to charity. And I used to be quite public about posting exactly how much I got paid every month, and then I reread the terms of service and realized maybe I shouldn't say exactly the figure I've been paid. But it's quite easy to work out if you ever look at my donations list, because I make the donation there. But yeah, I used to say quite often, if anyone was in my position, they'd do this. But then you do look at the people in power and you think, no, I don't think everybody would do this. But yeah, I think I'm in a fortunate enough position, and I try and make it a thing of spreading the charities around. I do a couple of big streams every year, so I'll do 2 big streams where I'll tend to do much longer streams with more intensive things, and the rest of the time I'm just kind of throwing the spotlight on charities. And through the work that I've done, I've been lucky enough to then help charities understand Twitch as well, because there's been times where I contact a charity and say, I'm going to be streaming for you and raising money, and then they'll email me back and say, oh, that's great, shall we send you a sponsorship form? And I'm like, it's a bit hard to get people to fill out a sponsorship form on the internet. But I think the fact that I've been able to help educate other charities about what they do, and if there's ever anyone out there who wants to do more charity streaming and wants to know who to speak to, feel free to always reach out to me, and I can put you in touch with loads of people who can kind of advise, and I can help with a lot of the charity streaming parts as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's a really great thing to use Twitch for as well. If you're in that sort of platform, you've got a really, relatively good audience. Using it for raising money for charity is great. And I know obviously Callum's done some. Good friend Callum has done some charity streams before. Obviously, I've tried doing a couple over the last couple of years, and obviously you've got another one, I believe, coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, so
obviously going to be raising some cash for as well, which is great. Again, it's perfect use for Twitch, I think.
It's one of those things that I think it's difficult, especially because everyone's got a lot going on. So whenever I do a charity stream, I always try and make them special in a way. So I've been gunned so many times. I've done ridiculous things. I once shaved my head mid-stream, which I think was partly out of spite, because I had seen streamers before who promised they would shave their heads if people donated to charity and then didn't do it. So I was like, I'm going to raise money for charity, and when we hit the goal, I'll have my wife come in here with the clippers and shave my head. I mean, it's funny, when I went to see my hairdresser last, I was like, I'm sorry, I haven't been here for a while. I had to shave my head for charity again. You're doing me out of money every time you do that.
But donate some cash to them as well.
Yeah. But it's good, and I think that's part of what drives me with Twitch is I feel like I have to give people a reason to do it, and hopefully the entertainment of the stream, and the little silly things that I do are enough to make people do that. But yeah.
Yeah, special effects are a massive charity. It's a shame it's gone away over recent years, but there used to be a FM pass along where people would go all weekend with it. I think it died out a couple of years ago because there wasn't people around, and it's just not really carried on. It should be something that's brought back, but Game Blast weekend's always amazing. Like, the amount of challenges and stupid things people are doing over the weekend, it's always great to see. And I know you've done 12-hour streams the last few years, and then I mean, I did.
Well, do you want to explain a bit about what special effect do for people who don't know, Jeb? Because you've been part of many streams for them over the years.
Yeah. So I've worked with them directly a few times. I actually played against SI in a 5-a-side match. Jesse was in goal for that, Taff, by the way. Just a close personal friend. But so the special effects basically make equipment for people who are not able to physically play games, etc. So they can make chin controls, they can make controls where you play with your legs, or even with your eyes as well. And it's really made, like, it's enabled so many different people who aren't able to game normally to game again. And it's like the research and the stuff that they made. Like, I think they have a few example setups at most cons that they're at, and it's amazing what you can do with the stuff. I know.
Yeah, if you ever go to a con and you see a special effects stand there, it's well worth going and just having a look at what they actually do, because I see them at a lot of the things that I go to, and I think I've got a little video that we'll play on the weekend where I got to play FIFA using my chin, and it was really interesting to like be like, oh god, like this is such a thing that at the time that I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, this is fun, and then you go, this is not just fun, this is like a thing that is opening up like avenues for people less fortunate than me to game. Like I know the stories that special effect do. They make a lot of videos about the work that they do, and I will often put those on like my socials, that particularly like sites like Facebook, where not as many people who are on my Facebook know about my streams and stuff. And very often people will see the videos that you put on Facebook, and they'll just donate based off that, because you get stories like the guy who played FIFA with his brother for years and years, and then had an accident and wasn't able to play FIFA anymore. And he said, like, it felt like I'd lost, part of my relationship with my brother because I couldn't do this anymore. And then Special Effect made him a completely adapted controller, because they make setups based on the person. They're not standard. They cost the person nothing as well. So they made a setup for him, and he said, like, that first time that I got to play football with my brother again was just the best. And you think, like, I bet that was just him, like, getting to banter with his brother again was the thing that probably drove it. And seeing the stuff they do, kids that have heard their friends talking about Minecraft all the time and never been able to play it, who can suddenly control Minecraft just using their eyes, is such technology that is, like, when you watch the videos, it's so moving. I can't do it justice talking about it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, like, such a great charity. And, like, I was lucky enough to hear about Ash Tarek, who I mentioned earlier. The first time I heard about it was through her streaming for them. And ever since then, it's been like, whenever I talk to a charity, I'm like, I'd love to do work for you, but February is Game Blast. I can't do anything in February. I will do this every year for as long as I do streaming, because as a charity, they're perfect for everything we do. And, if I didn't have gaming, I don't know where I'd be today.
Yeah, it's life-changing equipment for people. Really is that sort of thing. Just all of a sudden, yeah, like you say, going from having something, not having something, and then immediately having it back. It's just, or just not having it at all in the first place and having it, then it's just, amazing work, amazing thing that they do.
Absolutely. You've mentioned Game Blast is February is Game Blast month, so I think we kind of touched earlier upon the fact that you're doing upcoming streams for them. So when's that happening this year, Taff?
Yeah, so Game Blast is next weekend. So I'm going to be streaming on Sunday the 23rd. I think I'm going probably midday till midnight. There is going to be a load of different stuff that's happening on stream. I say that because I don't actually know what I'm doing properly yet. There's going to be...
Yeah, you have loads of ideas, but then you don't put them into action till about Friday.
The thing is, I'm a last minute man. I can reveal we're going to have another big Taff quiz, which is one of my favorite things that I do on the stream. And I know from watching the Football Manager Therapy quiz this year, I've had some inspiration for some ideas. So that, again, that's one of the great things about Twitch is like seeing stuff that Jeb has done. I've gone, oh yeah, I'm gonna nick that, but put my twist on it. So, there's gonna be a big quiz that is usually the highlight of the stream. It's usually goes on about 8-9 o'clock. That starts, but then through the day we'll be doing loads of different stuff. I was thinking, Jeb, you'll appreciate this. I might even throw in a little bit of Grand Theft Auto Chaos mod this year.
Nice.
Because that's always been something that I fancied doing on the list, where people can donate, and for every donation they do, it triggers like random effects within Grand Theft Auto. So, yeah,
some of those effects are so dumb in that game. I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Just doors are flapping open, things like that.
Yeah, usually it's like buses just dropping in front of you, or elephants, or various other things. I saw a weird mod for Skyrim the other day, but that involves turning all of Skyrim into World War II. I don't know how. Like, some people have just gone too far with modding. I think that's very simple.
My favourite Skyrim mod is either the one where it turns the dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine, or where it turns them, or where it turns them into Randy Savage. Is another one. And if you've never seen the pictures of that, a dragon with the head of Randy Savage is fantastic. And needless to say, it comes complete with the dragons going, oh yeah. So
yeah, I was going to say off your quiz thing, I was very nearly going to rip off your manual pointless, which was because you'd not built the thing, so you just dragged the image down as the numbers went down and made the noises.
Well, that's one of the things that's honestly one of the things that I've realized from doing Twitch for so long now, is that sometimes you have ideas and you go, I'm going to implement that, and then you keep putting it off because you go, it's a little bit complicated to do, it's a little bit hard, and then you go, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
doing a silly thing where rather than having a proper pointless scale that I was just dragging a JPEG down was probably better than anything that I could have done if I'd done it properly. So I think that's one of the big lessons that I found from Twitch is you don't always have to be perfect, which is something I'd say to you, Rich, but you probably couldn't empathize with that as Mr. Perfection yourself.
No, you're wrong, Taff. I can't sink any lower. This is it. In terms of the quality of the content I produce, bedrock, mate. There's the only way is up. It's the impossible dream. I've got having a Stream Deck and being able to press buttons on that and for it making noises in the internet is groundbreaking for me. When that first happened, honestly, I felt like the day I got this to work, I was like, right, NASA, get me on the phone. I will get a spaceship on Mars within the next 3 years, easily. If I can do that, I can do anything else. That's not true. Actually, what happened is I bought the Stream Deck off a friend, had it in my house for about 3 months, didn't plug it in because I was too intimidated by it, then worked out how to do it in about 10 minutes, and then learnt nothing from that experience. And I still apply the exact levels of fear, anxiety, and logic to learning new things to every other thing that I've done since then. So, I mean, I've been streaming for just under 3 years. I've been using OBS for about 3 months now, and I think that's it's
getting the hang of it. You're getting there.
Learning is hard.
What would be your top tips for Rich if you were able to go back and speak to yourself, from before you started streaming to now?
God.
Just don't. Just carry on with comedy. You spend more time at the house.
Did you used to do comedy?
No, absolutely not. No, never. And I've never threatened to do it in your house either. That's.
I actually won that legally as a prize. I can't remember how, but I definitely won it.
It was through Game Blast. It was through Game Blast. So we were talking, as you mentioned earlier, part of the beauty of streaming is, if you're inspired by somebody else, go for it. Glenn Moore is a stand-up comic. He used to be a regular panelist on Mock the Week for quite a while. He got very, very into streaming, especially over lockdown. And Glenn has a series of channel point redeems. One of them was 200,000 channel points, and he would spend a day with you in a theme park of your choosing. And it was just, at the time I was looking and I thought it's unobtainable. Nobody is going to watch enough content to get 200,000 channel points. That's never going to happen. So I put one on my stream. So for 150,000 channel points on my stream, I've said I will come around your house and I'll do a stand-up gig. When we did the Game Blast pass round a few years back, that was the grand prize draw for my portion of the stream. Everybody that watched or donated during my time on Game Blast, all the names went on a wheel, spin the wheel, whoever it landed on won that prize, and it was you, Taff. And
the problem with it was, Rich, that I would have had to give you my address, and that was the part that I was unwilling to. If you said, Rich will do stand-up for you in Jeb's back garden, I think I'd be all right with that. I'd come down to Jeb's house for the weekend. We could make a meal of it.
Okay.
We could make some content.
Let's revisit this as an idea at some point then. Let's absolutely do.
I can just give you Taff's address.
Taff's address.
No, wait there. Well, how about if Jeb picks you up, puts a blindfold over your head, drives you to my address, and then we wait until you're in the back garden. You can take the hood off, and you can immediately do the stand-up. And then once you finish, hood back on, back in Jeb's car.
Straight back in the back, in the boot and up the motorway.
The irony is that's how I get 25% of my work easily. Just hood comes off. I'm like, oh, why are we here? Oh, my wife. And then just hood goes back.
Airplane food.
Yeah.
Wait, you're giving jokes at my wife?
But I do it without the accent, so they don't know what I'm doing. It's like, is this
Like, did they not seen Borat in Mansfield?
No, they really haven't. They've only just got Ali G. So
Oh, no.
when they find out there's more characters, it's going to blow their minds. If you're listening or watching to this in Mansfield,
Big,
hell of a town.
big Bo Selector fans in Mansfield.
Huge Bo Selector fans in Mansfield. Can't get enough of it. Good. So yeah, all right. Well, we'll revisit that one day then, Taff. We'll make that work in some capacity. If I have to be sedated, I have to be sedated. That's fine. But we can.
Is that
work.
during
I think
the
the-
stand-up set? Or
To be honest, it's normally the audience who is
If I
sedated.
start to get a bit lively halfway through, just do it again. Sometimes at comedy clubs there's a bouncer, there's a stage manager. My gigs, there's a man on the sidelines with an elephant gun, tranquilizers in it. So if it starts to get a bit lively, pop one on my neck. And I'll just...
Have you ever thought, Rich, of doing a fully football manager based stand-up show?
Yes, I have. I've given it great consideration. It's going to be called Football Manager. If anything, has greatly improved my life. It has in a roundabout. Hasn't it been lovely since? Yeah, it's been great.
I can't believe you see him now on Twitch hanging out with Steve Sidwell and stuff. It's crazy, isn't it?
Weird. He sent me the other day. He sent me a voice note that he got from Steve. This is for context. This is our friend Tony Jameson, who's just been promoted with Newport County.
he's actually achieved something on Football Manager. That's the
achieved
biggest
something on
thing.
Football Manager.
He had to get Steve Sidwell and a host of assistant managers into it.
So, Steve, can I interest you in the concept of British Steel? We just have to do this again for another 34 seasons. No, he sent me out of context the other day. I was at work and he sent me a voice note, and Tony never sends me voice notes. I assumed very much in the same way that, like, if a family member who doesn't normally phones you like you did the other day, Jeb, like, you have to start the conversation with "It's okay, nobody's died." I was like, something bad has happened.
A voice note is a young person's game, though, really, these days. I mean, I'm surprised Tony even... I'm surprised... if this story doesn't end with Tony just sent you a voice note, but it was him accidentally having recorded a conversation he was having with someone else,
No,
I'm going to be shocked.
I've not taught Tony how to do voice notes yet, so yeah, it's fine.
So wait there, Jeb. Are you saying that anything that Tony does on stream are things that you've taught him? Because I wouldn't want to have that on my CV.
No, I've tried teaching him. I just do it for him now by the sounds of things, so I'm a bit worried if it's easy.
No. And Tony sent me a voice note from Steve Sidwell that he had sent. He was just forwarding it on to me, of all things. And I was, so that's it. And then I had it on loudspeaker because I put it up to my ear and I was listening, and then one of my colleagues was sat next to me, and he's a Chelsea fan, as Steve Sidwell, famous Chelsea number 9. He was sat there and he was listening. You could hear it, and he said, "Is that Steve Sidwell?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Why have you got a voice note from Steve Sidwell?" And I was like, "Don't you? Doesn't everybody? Is he not in regular communication with everybody for the sport the clubs he used to play for?" But yeah, he just sent me a little voice note from Steve Sidwell. Ever so weird. Ever such a weird experience, but I'm very happy for him.
Was it as strange as maybe getting a video from Dr. Carl Kennedy, do you think? which was something that we did, wasn't it?
That it absolutely was. See, we've heard Taff's origin stories with Matt and Jeb. But Taff and I think we mutual, as you do when you have mutual friends, you chat a little bit. And I think it was to celebrate. Was it a FMT milestone, or is it just because we're good people?
I think it was just because we thought it was funny.
Yes, it was quite funny. Yeah, we went on the popular website Cameo, and got a lovely cameo for Matt and Tony from Dr. Carl Kennedy. I've got to say, he was very quick. He returned.
He was
very fast.
I don't think he had a big queue.
Looking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and full gusto. He gave it both barrels. God bless him. What a man, Dr. Carl Kennedy is. Absolutely.
It'd be great if you had the video now to pop in here, Rich.
Wouldn't it though, Taff? Wouldn't it? And it just so happened, he's here now. He's actually been sat in the waiting room for this entire part. Come on, Alan, come here, come and do it now. Imagine that. Taff, if you could get a cameo for the FM team now, motivational, whatever you'd like it to be, if you could pick anybody to give a motivational message to us, the FM team, who would you go for?
Easy one. Who do I think is going to inspire you guys more than anyone else? Well, I think they would give you 5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom. It's the Costco guys. I think, to be fair, I think if anyone's going to inspire you, I'm pulling up Cameo now. The Costco guys, I can get them for £238.
Okay.
Alternatively, for £28, I could get Matt Letizia to spout some bizarre conspiracy theories for you.
Oh, it's the eternal dilemma, isn't it? One cameo from the Costco guys, or 10 from Matt Letizia.
It's a real Sophie's choice, isn't it?
And it'll go down really well with Stakey, actually, because he's a Portsmouth fan. So yeah.
I'm having a quick look here, and there's some crackers on here. I could get you Michael Owen to tell you about how he's never watched a film all the way through for £175. We've got John Terry on there for £180. Michael Essien for only £79. Or if you did one, say fans himself, if you wanted a bit more Seaman in your life, Rich, I could get David Seaman for £95. So there's some good options on there. Of course, for £40, friend of the pod himself, Carlton Palmer,
he's gone down in price.
I'm looking at the list here, and we could get some quite problematic people in. We could get some. Wait there, Tino Asprilla for only £40. He has only got a 3.76 star rating, which
I think I did look it up. That didn't he just deliver a 10-second message that had nothing to do with the persons?
Yeah,
what they requested. Yeah.
If you ever have time, I think my favourite one that I've ever seen. I don't know if he's still on here now. But I once went through Ian Rush's reviews on Cameo, and I believe my favourite thing to do is if you go to Cameo, you can see their reviews, but there's actually a filter on there so you can see only the 1-star reviews. And with I'll read you out this because it's beautiful. Ian, this is the second video you've got wrong. We asked for a video for my father on Father's Day, which has passed, and instead we've received 2 wrong videos. Both have got different names, and it's not my father's names, and I would like to request a refund.
Wow.
So it's lovely stuff. Another one, extremely disappointed. We asked for a roast of an Everton fan by Mr. Rush. None of my directions were followed. I will not send this to our friend. Would like a refund so I can get a different person to do this. So it's fantastic to see how much these old men who've been thrust onto a website where you can request videos for them for £40 just get technology wrong. And I kind of find that quite similar to our friend Tony Jameson.
Are you saying Tony's going to be on there in a few years' time?
Yeah.
I still remember somebody going with Matt Letizia and just asking for a shout out to his mate Andy Vaxer. It's just like, and it worked. So yeah.
Oh, I just want to read more 1-star Ian Rush reviews.
It's honestly a cracking little thing you can do. You know, if you go on there and you have a look, but then you start to look at these Cameo websites and you're like, for the people who do it properly, I mean, James Buckley from the In-Betweeners has got over 11,000 reviews on there at 40 quid a time, and you go, that's just the people who've reviewed. There's going to be a lot of people who never wrote a review, and even just at 40 quid a time on 11,000, you know, you do the maths, Rich. Please do the maths.
That's some money. I've heard him talk about it on podcasts. He said he's made over £1.5 million from Cameo, which is quite incredible, really, when you think about it. It's absolute madness. But if you're good at it, then there you go. I think by the sounds of things, he is very, very good at it. He's efficient. He does what the people want. And then you get to be massively successful. My favourite Cameo celebrity is Taff. Have you seen the popular television series Breaking Bad?
Mm-hmm.
You know the bald twins that don't say a word. You can get cameos from one of them. An actor whose most iconic television role involves him not speaking. He wants £750 to go for the privilege, and people pay it. It's incredible. I
must confess that I've ordered several cameos from Sean Williamson, aka Barry from EastEnders.
I mean, and too cool if it's bad.
And every time I've ordered a cameo from Barry from EastEnders, he starts it in exactly the same way. He does the full spiel. I don't know if you remember the bit from Extras where they talk about he can do emotional stuff. Oh, I love you, Pat, and then he can do funny stuff. Oh God, I've slipped on a banana. Or you can sing Mustang Sally. So he does the full bit for every cameo he ever gets. Then he does the full bit from Extras, and you're like, you didn't even come up with that. But what a guy though. I'd heavily recommend him. I don't believe the Sean Williamson is on Cameo because I believe it takes a certain pedigree of people. So Sean Williamson, you have to look about. It used to be Celeb Voicemail, but I believe it's rebranded to something else recently.
But a message from Barry.
Yeah.
Nice. You've got so you're doing your 12-hour special effects stream, and then what are you doing the day after just to make it a little bit more different?
On the Monday, I'm going to do a Game Blast hangover stream because I'm actually going to be featured on the front page of Twitch for the day. So it's in the daytime, and I'm going to be doing a little challenge for myself, which is going to be trying to win in as many games as possible while still raising money for Game Blast. So I'm going to be literally loading up a game, trying to get a win, whether that's a game like Street Fighter where I fight. I might throw Football Manager in there and just say, look, until I win a match, because technically that's a win. So trying to get as many different wins in as many different games as I can, whether it's Fortnite, FIFA, PUBG, as many games as possible. And hopefully finish the stream with a big number of wins. But yeah, you won't really know what that's like, Rich, but yeah.
Such an unnecessary shot.
It's just because, sometimes there's going to be people going, I don't even know who this guy is, and he's talked a lot during this. So occasionally I have to take a little dig at Rich just for them to go, oh yeah, he's just had a go at Rich. I quite like.
He's one of the lads, isn't he? He likes his Taff. I like the cut of his jib. Yeah, what a man. I mean, you've mentioned maybe you involve some kind of football management games, Taff. Have you got any football management games lying around that you might be able to have a little?
It's funny you mentioned that. I've got a couple of football manager games here. So as I was saying, like I went through.
For the audio listeners, Taff is currently holding up all the football manager games that have ever existed, not just football manager. I went through a thing, and I think this was actually early in Tony's streaming career that I was like, I'm gonna just try and buy as many football manager games as I can. So not just like football manager itself, but we've got FIFA manager 06 or 07 08 and 10. I haven't got FIFA manager 09, so if anyone's got it out there and wants to give it to me.
Wait, FIFA manager or football manager?
FIFA manager. So yeah, the total club manager, FA Premier League manager. We've got all the championship manager games from when they split with SI and when rubbish. We've got one there that I've used one of those brother label makers to write Champman 2 update disc. So
I remember that. Yeah,
got a bit of everything there, but we've even got the old Champman 97, 98.
Look at them.
Which is like, I think there's you see that mitre ball and you're like, that takes me back, because I know I recently actually bought a very similar football to that, because they re-released a ball that they hadn't brought out since like 2001 or something. And I went and bought the same football, so one day I can kick the same football around with my kids that I played with when I was young.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
But one day we can also play Champman 97, 98, and hopefully we can
£100,000.
win £100,000 in cash. If I can match Gianfranco Zola's dream team.
Yeah, if anybody's wondering from earlier in the podcast where Taff mentioned early retirement, that is exactly how he achieved it.
Oh, unfortunately, I have to have sent this by the 31st of the 3rd, 1998. But this is, you have to pick from the list of players as to what Gianfranco Zola's dream team is. And I'm just having a look, and he has included himself in the list of players that you could possibly pick.
It backs himself. You've got to rate
First name on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some crackers in here, though, that I haven't thought of for a while. You've got, he's suggested for his long list of players that you can pick from. We've got players such as Alan Boksic, Sonny Anderson.
Nice.
We've got a young Zinedine Zidane on there. Leonardo, Ivan De La Pena. Yeah.
No idea.
I do. Wasn't De La Pena actually one of the ones that was DM, AM, defense? He basically could play everything. I'm pretty sure he was. Was.
I think they were always my favourite players in the Champman games. When you sign someone, of course the peak player that could play in multiple positions was when you could sign Dion Dublin and play him in centre of defence or as a striker. And he excelled at neither. So, although if you actually went into the editor file and looked at Dion Dublin, his Homes Under the Hammer skill was a perfect 20. So, obviously, yeah, Football Manager done their scouting.
Foreshadowing. That's what it was. They knew what was going to. Yeah, inventing weird percussion instrument.
Yeah. Dion Dublin's Doob.
Dion Dublin's Doob, yeah.
Is this where you're going to follow Doob out?
And now
For
he's
any,
going to start rapping.
For any people who are just listening to the podcast, I'm currently holding my Doob in my hand. God, this is a girthy Doob. Let me just see if I can make it make some noises. Now, I am holding a copy of Champman 2.
Including the update that you already had.
including the 96-97 update. Thank God for bringing me Championship Manager 2. 9 out of 10 PC review.
Nice.
So
Huge.
yeah, I'm just having a look on the back. They featured Patrick Berger from the Liverpool squad, a Newcastle squad that features Faustino Asprilla, Les Ferdinand, Darren Huckabee, and Alan Shearer. Perhaps the most formidable four-man strike force of the squad that we've ever seen. And an AC Milan squad that features. Actually, I take that back. They've got Roberto Baggio, George Weah. I don't even need to read the others. They've got Christophe Dugarry and Simeone. Simone.
Oh, God.
So-
Darren Huckabee or George Weah? It's the eternal question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Played
Though
mankind
Darren
for
Huckabee
centuries.
in those Champman games
Oh, yeah,
used to be a heck of a signing.
Was he
Oh,
20
yeah, yeah.
dribbling? He was like 20 dribbling as a striker, like that nobody else had. It was ridiculous.
I realise this is your podcast, but I'd just be interested to know from back in the day who the player was that you guys like really. If someone was to now say you can have their shirt signed and put up on your wall, as long as not that many people will recognise the name. Because for me, I mentioned him earlier, it'd be Stefan Selakovic. I think to get a shirt of his up on the wall would be amazing. But what about you three?
That's a lovely question.
That's a great question. Wow.
I said by the other week, it's actually gone off classic football shirts. It was John Paolo Bazzini. There was a Hellas Verona shirt with his name on. He used to play Fiorentina and Sampdoria. They're probably nicer shirts to have than a Hellas Verona shirt. No offence to them, but yeah.
Wow. See, I didn't play any of the classic CMs. Not really. I think I played one and I managed Celtic and had famous people. So I'd probably go with like Barbosa. That was like one of the first, like one of the kids, Gabriel Barbosa, that I was like, oh, I found him. And then obviously everyone else found him and I was like, okay, fine. I'm not that special. But, you know, classic Barbosa shirt would be cool.
I think that's one of the great joys of Football Manager that maybe we don't get as much like in today's game because people are, you know, we're so internet based now that you just know, but like being able to find that player who becomes like your guy. And I know this is why I sometimes think, shall I just start a game and just put the imaginary players thing on? But then it's like, no, you feel a bit sad then. I remember my in university, myself and my friend played as West Ham and Blackburn, and we both signed like aging legends. So I think he had like Rivaldo and I had George Weah, and we were both we were like so excited to sign them and have them along the side the players that we'd found and brought through. But yeah, what about yourself, Rich?
I'd have to go for Øyvind Leonhardsen, the Norwegian midfielder, just because my first ever Champman experience, I played with my cousin and we had a save on the go together and he put me managing Liverpool and I signed Øyvind Leonhardsen from Wimbledon because I could remember his name from the big Premier League picture book that I'd been given for Christmas that year. And then the year after, Liverpool signed him in real life.
And he was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. But I felt like God. I was like, I made this happen. I am a footballing genius. And that very correct assumption has never really left me, Taff. I think I've hung on to that for quite a few years.
Do you find that you guys have like a system that you feel, you know, like obviously, I hate to mention this now, but as a Man United fan, it's very intriguing watching the play at the moment where a manager has been signed for his system and is very stubbornly sticking to his system throughout it. Do you find that there's been like systems that have stayed with you through the Football Manager series that you've kind of like you resolutely stick to? For myself, I can't resist going for a 4-1-2-1-2 with the wide players.
Mine's 4-2-4, and it comes back to those arrows. I still remember the arrows. You get the wingers and you get them to cut inside or run straight up either way. But yeah, I think it was pretty much, it was always a 4-2-4, and you'd have both wingers and you'd have them both cutting in as well. So.
I was exactly the same as you for a really long time, Taff. It was that 4-1-2-1-2 with the wide players. I'd have the little yellow arrow on the defensive midfielder just dropping back, and then the wingers pelting down. Like, that was it for a really, really long time. More recently, I really, really like I can't get it to work as well on Football Manager as I want it to, but I really like the idea of like a 4-3-1-2, like a nice midfield three, and then just somebody sitting behind the two strikers. I really like that as a concept, but it doesn't lend itself as effectively to Football Manager as other systems do, I think, which is weird because I've had more joy this year with narrow systems than I have wide, but especially after stealing Stakey's formation in our network. Like, it's really, really good, weirdly enough, Stakey. But like, yeah, just a slight tweak on that, like a more compact midfield. I just can't get it to work the same. I'd love it if it did, though.
So yeah, I do like. I like a 4-1-3-2 with DM 3 centre mids, but one that I think probably since like FM20, last 4 or 5 years, I've used the 5-back quite a lot. I've used 3 centre backs and wing backs. I guess I've just seen it used enough in real life that my brain's gone, oh, maybe that'll work. And I did it for the entire of FM23 with Rochdale. I've used it loads whilst doing little saves and journeymans across FM24. Yeah, I'm going 3-back. I think that's the Tony Pulis, the Gareth Southgate in me, just wanting to not concede, so just have more defenders. Instead
I won
of being
the World Cup with a
exciting.
4-2-4. Just saying.
There you go.
Who'd you beat in the final there, Jeb? I imagine that it was one of the big teams, and you didn't maybe subject a country that is struggling right now to further heartbreak. Would I be right with that, Jeb?
Yeah. It's Ukraine, yeah.
What was the sign for cutting a bit? Was it this again? I do actually have a suggestion for you guys of so Football Manager has always been a game that, like, as much as I've enjoyed playing it on my own, it's always been something that I've really enjoyed playing with mates. And I remember one time when we were in university, we had a computer that we played Football Manager on, and the computer broke, and it happened at the time we were living with a few other people. And someone else in the house had a computer, and we actually made sure that when the cleaners came to clean the person's room, we pretended that it was our room so that we could make sure the cleaners wouldn't lock the door afterwards. And then because that person had gone away on holiday for a week, and we basically commandeered their room, installed Football Manager, well, it was Championship Manager at the time, we installed Champ Man, and then basically lived in their room for a week playing Champ Man constantly. And then the day before they came home, had to like clean up and make the room look safe again. But one thing
how many years ago was this? Is this still technically a crime?
This was the
Are we
early.
now complicit by listening to this story?
But one of the things that we did that I always found like quite fun to do and quite fun to watch was a couple of friends and I like had a game where we actually did a pass around game as the same team. So what we did was started a game as, I think it was Newcastle we were playing as. And what we did is each person got like I think it was like a 3 to 4 month stint. So we would kind of like play it and then pass it on to the next person. And my favorite bit that happened in there was one of my friends had the January transfer window and I had the period before. And we were really struggling with scoring at the time. And I decided to sell our major striker that we had. I don't remember who it was for Newcastle at the time, but the person that I bought to replace him with, that I could sort the deal out before the window opened, was Danny Welbeck from Manchester United. So I basically sold our best striker and replaced him with Danny Welbeck. Then when my friend took over, he had January the 1st, and there was actually a game on that day, and the transfer window hadn't actually properly opened yet. And our striker that I had sold scored a hat-trick. And Danny Welbeck, for the rest of the 3 months that was there, didn't score a single goal. And I've never known someone so angry with me as my friend. And so I would really love to see a game where you kind of like pass around the same save and all have a period to put your own little slant on it, because I think it'd be really interesting to see like the dynamic of like little tweaks of the different managerial philosophies.
You're obviously a big listener to the podcast. We have discussed this on previous episodes, which is where the network save might evolve to, which is we're all going to play the same game, but one person will be responsible for the team, so manage them on a match day. One person will be responsible for the tactics, and one person will be responsible for...
Is Rich cleaning out the toilets?
Yeah, transfers. But then we've also said the fourth person, because we couldn't figure a proper role, so we're just going to make them like director of football or the chairman, and they can just come in at any point and go, no, you're not doing this, we're doing this. So, yeah, we're working our way through it, but I think that's where the network game's going to go for the next iteration. We just need to work out logistics of all being able to get into the save and cause havoc, so... Yeah. Definitely a different way of going.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with a game like FM is there's different ways, and I think like seeing the different philosophies. I mean, I would describe my managerial style as I wipe the club and try and make as many signings as I can. So I love the transfer dealings. The managing the day-to-day of the business, like not so fun. Games are awful. Buying and selling players, yes.
Spending money,
yes.
spending big piles of cash, yes. Yeah, that is pretty fun. It's a good way to play it.
Yeah, it's good. Any other suggestions how we can better ourselves, Taff? While you go?
If you could just take off your headphones for a sec, Rich. Have you thought about replacing Rich, guys?
So frequently.
I'll be honest.
Taff, I'm so tired.
I just think you could do better, to be honest.
I know they could do better. Taff, this is all I have. This is all I've got, man.
This is all I've got. You do remind me of a young Ian Beale, Rich. I've been trying to put my finger on it, and I think
it's my rap, young Beale. That's my
Lil Beale.
Stuck around EastEnders, they could never get rid of him. Just like he's had so many wives. The wives have come and gone.
The Adam Woodgate of the FM community, that's what they call me. And they're right to. They're right to. I've got longevity. Oh, honestly. Good. Okay, so start a new network save. Get rid of me. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a pleasure having you on, Taff. Cheers for that, mate. Thank you.
That's all right. Are we going to do the podcast now?
It's not cheap in this.
I feel bad because like we've talked about mine and Jeb's origin story and mine and Rich, but technically this is mine and D-Boy's origin story. You're watching it in the flesh right now.
Yeah, this is my origin story of meeting you, Taff, and essentially I haven't laughed as much meeting someone for the first time as I have with you, and I've just enjoyed listening to you guys natter, to be honest. It's been wicked.
I feel I've talked a little bit too much, which is a tendency that I have. But if you do enjoy that talking, why not check out twitch.tv/.
We're going to get to that bit in a minute.
Well, do you know what? I've just remembered, because I had a whole bit I was going to do at the start where I was going to go. Football Manager, also known as Worldwide Soccer Manager in North America from 2004 to 2008, is a series of Football Manager games developed by British developer Sports Interactive and published by Sega. I believe it was Wikipedia who first said the game began its life in 1992 as Championship Manager, but following the breakup of their partnership with original publishers, how do you say that? Eidos Interactive, triggered by the fiasco release of Champman 4 in 2003. Yeah, so he's gonna do the old Wikipedia bit. I would have been
if you'd done
gold
that,
if I'd
Taff,
done
it
it
would have been
earlier.
very funny. If you'd remembered it, that would have been great.
Can we cut this and then just at the start put in this bit?
Put this at the start of the podcast.
Just after you've put in your good joke that you did on the preamble.
Yeah. My
I
good
tell you
joke.
what, if you guys knew the joke that Richard did, I mean, he obviously can't repeat it now because of woke, but God,
It was a clean joke as well. Don't go blue.
Oh,
Never go
Rich
blue.
was like, I think it's back in my day. You know, you used to just click a little arrow.
wrap the podcast.
I'm
wrap
sorry.
it quick.
Earlier on, I asked him to do my dad's voice and he said he couldn't do it, and then he just busts it out at the end. Perfect.
I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of you, Rich. You're doing a great job on this podcast.
Thanks, Dad. I mean, Dad. It's hard to tell. If anything, this week, lines have been blurred. So many lines. So, Taff, you were about to start plugging yourself there and all the things that you do and the places that you do them. The floor is yours, my friend. Where can people find you doing all the wonderful things we've discussed tonight? And so many.
If you check out twitch.tv/Jebaru and then scroll down in the About section to recommended streamers, you should see Big Taffman's name in there. And then clicking that link will take... He's checking now, isn't he? He's double checking that it's in there.
I used to be on yours. I think I deleted you out of spite. Right, anyway.
You are on mine. The problem is that there's so many people on there now that it extends.
God, it's
But no,
MySpace top 8 warfare all over again. Look at this.
this is the thing. This is the thing you have to remember with this. But yeah, twitch.tv/Big Taffman. I stream on Mondays, usually about 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays 7:30 till about 11:30. But this Sunday, the 23rd, I will be streaming midday till midnight, raising money for special effects. So we'll be doing a big bumper stream, and there'll be a load of daft redeems and stuff that you can do if you donate. And if you can't donate, if you can even just drop a lurk and hang out for a bit, that's cool. And if you can't do that either, then stuff you stupid Football Manager geeks. Go back to playing your spreadsheet game.
Nerds.
Can we cut that bit as well? No, leave that in. They'll like that.
That's the whole pod. Just that.
Just your spreadsheet. It's just a load of numbers, and you're going, oh God, why didn't you go and put a suit on for your cup final, you losers? No, I've done that. Hands up. I've done that. I'm with you. I'm one of you losers. Come with me. Let's show these cool people what, like, you know, Jameson. He's off doing adverts now. What's this about? God, Matt Richards, he's too good for podcasting these days. Let's show them we're actually quite cool by making a lot of money for special effect this Sunday, the 23rd, midday till midnight. Twitch.tv/Big Taffman.
That plug, it was a roller coaster, man.
Yeah. I just realised that maybe I could have spent better time than finishing the podcast by calling all your listeners nerds. Sorry, listeners. I was talking about the other listeners, not you in particular. You're quite cool, to be honest. I'd love to have you in my Twitch chat, but you know some of the others, they get a bit obsessed and they start talking about like these players as if they're real and stuff. Ooh, look at me! I had a son in Football Manager. Get out of here! I have a son in real life, you losers. But yeah, like you can see me on twitch.tv/Big Taffman, where we'll be raising money. Yeah, we're really welcoming. We'll let any of you in, even you nerds. You want to come in here? Do you want to see what a cool guy does?
Rich, we don't need to plug anything. Just say goodbye. We need to end.
Yeah, Taff. To summarise, Taff holds you in contempt, but he also wants your time and money. So please,
the money goes to charity. The money goes to charity, so it doesn't. I can say what I want. And I will. And nobody can stop me. You can't censor me. You try and censor me when I say my thing. Sorry. I've just realised what I said is quite slanderous there, so can you just beat that bit out, please?
Of course I can, mate. Not a problem at all. Be happy to. Be happy.
I don't think I've ever got a headache from doing a podcast before. It's great.
Good.
A good headache.
well-
It's a good headache.
God, have you seen these viewing numbers for the podcast when we had Taff on? They're well down. This was the downfall of us. Why did we have Taff on that week? He called all the listeners.
podcast.
I'm trying my best. Taff, in a roundabout kind of way, thank you. Cheers, I suppose. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Am I on next week as well?
Sure you are, pal. Sure you are.
Oh no, we're recording while you're doing your stream. Sorry.
Ah.
Oh well. Sorry, Taff, one more question before we go, very, very quickly. A bit of custard or a bit of brandy cream?
Oh, a little bit of custard, a little bit of cream. Oh, I love pud.
Oh, I love pud.
Good. You have as much as you want, big Taff man. Right. Good.
Shall I just put it away now, Rich? Shall I just put it away?
Put your doob away, Taff, yeah, for the audio. Taff is doob away. Thank you, audience, for watching, for listening, however you are consuming this podcast. We appreciate you enormously. And thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dee. Thanks, Jeb. Thanks, Taff, for hanging out with us today for another episode of Football Manager Therapy. We will see you on the next one. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.
See you later, nerds.